we wanted to live up to our mission, which was basically to create programs that are a Machon leparnasa, a preparation for making a living. And so we're looking for professions that are, require rigorous but rapid training, and then allow our students to go on and do great things in the world outside with very rewarding careers, meaningful careers, and also with significant compensation. So sonography really worked well for that. Let me just show you two statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that helped us in our research to institute sonography. This is the US Bureau of Labor Statistics website, bls.gov, very important website. And as you can see, sonographers and other cardiovascular technologists and technicians make about 75,000 per year. That's a national average. And their job outlook is faster than average, meaning we anticipate that a lot of sonographers are going to be hired in the very near future. Let me show you one more slide that I think is even better. This is also from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This shows you where the distribution of demand for sonographers is. And you can see that in our area, New York, and New Jersey, and Pennsylvania, this is actually the highest demand for sonographers in the entire country. And the annual mean wage in our area is almost $89,000. We think that's absolutely fantastic, that after you have just an associate's degree, basically 5 semesters, a little over 2 years work, it'll be hard work, but you can get into a meaningful career that's very rewarding, both financially and I think personally. So we're so excited to offer this. And with that, I'm going to turn the screen over to my colleague, Ms. Esther Braun.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us this evening. Again, as Dean Abramson has said, we're very, very excited about this new sonography program. And it's going to be held in our beautiful campus in the heart of Midwood, Flatbush. And we want to let you know that as all of our Machon students experience the warmth and the high level warmth and professionalism that we offer, and we care very much for our students, this will be extended to all of our sonography students as well. You're going to hear from my colleagues that sonography is a very rigorous and intense program. No worries. We have a full staff and wonderful instructors, very, very dedicated, who are available and will always be there to offer you, our students, advice, guidance, and lots of support. And since you will be spending so many hours in our campus, I just wanted to let you know that we have some wonderful amenities. And those include some state-of-the-art computer labs, a fully stacked library, and our beautiful lounges, comfortable lounges, and rest areas. And all of our students at Machon, as well as our future incoming sonography students, become part of our Machon family. You become actually part of our extended family. We are a huge family, and we hope to become, and we are an integral part of all of our Machon students who attend here. And we are hoping that our incoming sonography students will become an integral part of your journey through this program. And we very, very much look forward to welcoming you to this program and to joining the Machon leparnasa family. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you so much, Director Braun. That was an extremely welcoming message. I think you said welcoming about 8 times, which means they probably got the message. We are so happy that you are here, and we're going to be so happy to have you in our building studying sonography. But let's go straight to the material at hand. I'd like to introduce you to Professor Stephanie Evans, who is the director of our program. She is an extremely experienced director of sonography studies. She's run the program at Columbia. It's been absolutely fantastic up in Harlem. Now she's running it for NYSCAS in Manhattan, and she is going to initiate the program for us here in Brooklyn. So with that, let me turn it over to Professor Evans.
Well, thank you so much, Dean Abramson and Director Braun. I would like to say welcome to everyone, that you've embarked on an exciting program, and you are going to be in a field that is in great demand. So let's talk about what you're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about medical imaging generally, and particularly sonography. So medical imaging, we are the eyes of the doctors. We're the folks that will give you, the doctors, the information to continue to make sure they make an accurate diagnosis. Then we continue to make sure that you can then go on to your diagnosis. So here we have medical imaging. We're going to talk about all of the elements of medical imaging, but then we're going to go on to the specificity of sonography. So sonography, medical imaging includes all areas: radiography, MRI. Some of you have had a chest X-ray. Some of you have had mammography, other areas. So this is an essential part of the diagnosis for the physician, essential quality to make sure that we get the right diagnosis, the right time, and the right effort, and so on. So let's talk a little bit about medical imaging. As you know, healthcare is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It has many, over 300 occupations, as we know of. And it also provides a career ladder for multiple people. So there are careers in where you can stack your credential. You can start out from one career, then add to that. And medical imaging is one of those. You can start out as a diagnostic medical sonographer, then you can add on to your career by becoming specialized in various areas. Medicine is very specialized now. Medicine is designed to make sure that we can address all the issues for patients. We predict, we diagnose, then we inform the patient of what's next, okay? So we are able to take pictures inside the body down to the molecular level. We can see lots of details in the body. We can make sure that we can diagnose down to the simple blood vessel to be able to look at things. So in medical imaging, we have ultrasound, we have angiography, we have computerized tomography, as you know it as CAT scan, MRI, positron emission tomography, nuclear medicine, and mammography as well. So in radiography, many of you are familiar with that. That's the general one where you go, you take an X-ray for a broken bone. You can see here a broken hand, a broken finger. Those are the general things that most people are familiar with. We also have X-rays in motion, where we look at things, movements in the body, looking at a broken jaw, looking at how we swallow, looking at other areas like that as well. So, but medical sonography, many of you are familiar with it in that we use it to look at the fetus, look at the baby's structure, make sure the baby is growing in the right size, right limbs, everything is in order. So we use high frequency sound waves to create medical images, and it has a variety of applications. That's not the only application that we use. We use the application of sound waves to produce these sectional images of the body. And we can look at everything in the body from the heart to inside our blood vessels as well. So the term that we use to describe it is diagnostic medical sonography. Sometimes you hear it called ultrasound or ultrasonography. So sonography visualizes the soft tissue of the body utilizing sound waves. And we also will mention briefly something called echocardiography, which means we use sound waves to look at the heart. And some of our professionals today will talk about their experience and why they became a sonography and how that occurred. So we have multiple clinical applications of sonography. We can look at the abdomen, we can look at the kidneys, we can look behind the abdomen, we call it retroperitoneal. We can do interventional procedures like take a biopsy. We can use therapeutic treatments using ultrasound guidance. We can also look at superficial structures like the breast, the thyroid, the scrotum. And as we mentioned in echocardiogram, we can look at the cardiovascular system. The one that most people are familiar with is obstetrical and gynecological applications. So in other words, if you're going to be a new mom, you want to know that the baby is growing effectively. You want to know that all the limbs are present. You want to make sure that the heart is formed adequately. And now we can do lots of things in utero, do certain kinds of surgeries and so on. We also use ultrasound to look at the musculoskeletal system and to look at the eye. So ultrasound, as it's called, is where we use the sound waves, and it's transmitted into the body's tissue or organs. Then it's reflected back to a transducer. We use a specialized crystal in that transducer that can pick up those sound waves. So in your everyday life, you're most familiar with it when you look at radar or sonar. So if you're going too fast, sometimes that's how radar tends to work. It bounces off and we can check your speed in that way as well. So the main common utilization that we're familiar with is, of course, the ultrasound perspective, but sonography has many applications. So this is a transducer. The sound wave bounces off the transducer and then hits the organs. And then based upon the reflection back to that transducer, we can see into the body and take pictures of the organs and be able to know what's occurring with the organs. Many of you are familiar with the wonderful side of this, and I have to congratulate Dean Henry Abramson. He has a new grandchild that I'm sure he's so happy to see. So here we can be able to see the baby, and look how much we can see of the structure of the baby. We can see pretty much very clearly in the 3D and 4D formation with ultrasound as well. So as we said, it's a technique where we bounce the waves off of the tissue, bounces back to the transducer, and based on that, we can look at pictures. This is how detailed we can see these pictures. We can actually see the baby sleeping and see what's occurring with the baby. And here we can look at the before and the after and who looks so much like the pictures and so on. So it's a wonderful mechanism for obstetrics and gynecology. And when you're a diagnostic sonographer, you can actually learn the basic diagnostic sonographer. You can also add obstetrics and gynecology, and later you can also specialize in vascular sonography. Vascular sonography, as the name implies, is that you're looking at blood vessels. You're looking into the blood vessel to see how things. And here is more 3D and 2D sonography. And here is echocardiogram, where we look at the heart through the sound waves. And here we can diagnose multiple issues in sonography by looking at the heart and being able to intervene as necessary. We also use sonography to diagnose tumors, to make biopsies of tumors, to look for cancers. We also look at goiter, enlarged thyroid glands, things, for example. We can also look at generalized nodules in the body as well. In addition, we have various mechanisms that we can in imaging now where we use AI to look into the body. And sometimes we can take samples on the ultrasound guidance as well. This is pill endoscopy, that we look at the intestines in details to be able to see what needs to be done, take a biopsy of a colon cancer, other kinds of things like that to be able to be effective diagnostically. Healthcare is exciting. We can use bots, for example, in many ways under guidance, sometimes to look at taking a sample down at the level of the blood cell, taking that sample and coming in. We will use more and more AI in medical imaging as well. So all in all, there's a convergence of new kind of personalized medicine, of which sonography has an important aspect to add to it. We have digital platforms where we can take your blood pressure, we can look at your health body to take all of your vital signs, we can also take samples on the ultrasound guidance, but there's lots of personalized medicine that occurs now that you'll become a big part of that process of being a healthcare professional. Now, as we continue, what can you do as an ultrasound technologist? So you graduate, you can travel the world as a travel technologist. You become licensed or certified in sonography. You can add on to your credentials, vascular. You learn additional echo, and you can then, while you're in the program, take your credentials and add on to those credentials postgraduately as well. And some of our colleagues are going to talk more about that. So in conclusion, this is an exciting career. You're part of the healthcare team. You work very well with all the members of the team. It's more an interdisciplinary world today where everyone in the imaging world, the physician, the nurses are all part of a carefully orchestrated team. You can work anywhere in the ER, you can work in imaging centers, you can work in big hospitals, and the career opportunities are limitless. You can also grow and go on to other areas like radiography, you can do other things as well. and then you can go on to other professional careers. So you've made the first important start towards that career. And congratulations to all of you. This is our general, just a picture of our students in uniform and so on. So I welcome you all and congratulations for making the first step. Dean Abramson.
It was fascinating. Thank you so much, Professor Evans. That was fascinating. And before we go any further, I want to thank you so much for remembering my granddaughter. But those were very cute kids, but I think this kid is way cuter than all the kids you put in there. That's, well, obviously my new granddaughter. Now, I would love to spend a lot more time talking about my children and grandchildren, but we have so many fascinating things to say tonight about sonography. So now I'd like to turn it to professionals in the field to give us a sense of what it's like to work as a sonographer. And first, I'd like to call on Ms. Bonnie, also known as Bruchi Eisenberger, please. Great, you're able to get your camera. Thank you.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Bonnie Eisenberger or Bruchi Eisenberger. Either way, I went to Downstate and I've been a sonographer for more than 20 years. I currently work for RadNet. RadNet is the largest company in the US that provides outpatient imaging to patients. And my job there is I'm an ultrasound modality lead. That means that I interview, train, and I mentor the technologists that work for the company. I love my job. I can help patients and I can also guide technologists to save lives every single day. I do want to mention this, in the theme of things, I do have 5 kids of my own. And throughout the years, I've been able to tailor my work schedule to accommodate my family's needs. And as Ms. Evans also mentioned, you can do all sorts of things with ultrasound. I've worked full-time, I've worked part-time, I taught vascular ultrasound. And my goal is to teach others everything that I know and to learn along the way. Just today, I saw pathology in a fetal brain that I've never seen before, and that's just something I can give over to others. So that's my goal. I learn and I teach every day. And good luck to all of you. If you have any questions, now you know how to reach out.
Thank you so much, Ms. Eisenberger. That is also a very worthy goal, to teach others everything you know and to learn along the way. I think I can assume that goal for myself as well, although I think it's too late for me to take a second career as a sonographer. But this is very tempting. Let us now turn to, before I turn, let me remind everyone in the audience that at the bottom of your screen, there's a little Q&A button where you can submit written questions and you can see them. We'll either answer them in writing immediately or we will discuss them at the end of our presentation. So let me turn the screen right now over to Ms. Rachel Basilian, who will tell us something about her experience in the field. See, Ms. Basilian, you're able to unmute. Yeah, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. And how about your camera? We can't see you yet.
I believe that it's on. I thought it was you who controlled it.
You look very dark then. Very dark, but we can speak at any rate. If you can't find it, I'll see if I can figure it out from here.
Okay, because I don't see an option for the camera. Okay, so if everyone could hear me, my name is Rachel Basilian and I am registered ultrasound technician. I've been working in the field for over 16 years and I love my job. I love what I do. I work in Englewood Hospital for all those 16 years. I think it just shows, my career path that I actually started off in a different field. I started off in the business world and after a while, I realized that it was not for me. And if you're a person that is passionate about helping others, you're a people's person, this field is definitely something that you will love and enjoy. As was mentioned earlier, but Ms. Evans, you are the eyes of radiologists, of the doctors. It is a job with big responsibility. And there are challenges every day. Every day you might see something new that you learn. And it's a great field. There are options, as was mentioned earlier, for, part-time, full-time. It's a great field to be. And good luck to all.
Much, Ms. Basilian. That was very, very helpful. I'm sorry that we couldn't figure out the camera, but maybe in the question and answer, but we'll get to them by then.
Okay.
And now we'd like to hear from a few students. Ms. Aronova, can you present to us your perspective of studying in this program, which is just going to begin shortly on the Machon La Parnasse campus in Brooklyn. But as Ms. Aronova will tell you, we're already been running it in our Manhattan campuses.
Hi, everyone. My name is Esther, and I'm currently a student in Taro's sonography program. Ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to work in the medical field. I have a few family members in the ultrasound field, and they have introduced me to ultrasound. After doing extensive research and just understanding what comes with being a sonographer, I decided to take that step and apply to the program. I'm currently in my 3rd semester, almost going into my 4th, and I really couldn't be happier. Being able to just scan a person's body and understand what exactly I'm scanning, it really feels like a huge accomplishment. Of course, it all comes with experience and practice and hard work and commitment. However, at the end, it's worth it. You learn something new every day, and the more you learn to love the human body. In Taro, we've taken all different anatomy classes that cover patient care, vascular ultrasound, OBGYN, the physics that come with it, anything that has to do with the abdominal cavity, and so much more. Currently, we're prepping and studying very hard for the upcoming SPI exam. While studying, we go into all clinical sites, whether it be hospitals, regular private clinics, imaging centers, and we just get much more of a hands-on experience there, aside from getting it all from school as well. Professor Evans and all the other staff really just take part in our studies and help all the students, including myself, to the best of their abilities in order for us to succeed. Ms. Evans is the director of our program, and she has also really been a part of my journey over the past year. She really takes the time out of her day to help anytime that she can, and really just give that one-to-one attention in school, which I feel has really made my year in the program much easier, just because as a student, you feel like you're heard and you feel like you have that support. We're like one big family, and all the students also really take part in each other's studies. We give a hand to each other and just really help each other out. Being that I'm in my 3rd semester, at this point, we've been trained to efficiently scan, discover anything wrong with the scan, and just analyze them. At the end of scanning a patient and clearly understanding what you scanned, it's really an accomplishment. I just can't wait to see my classmates, including myself, eventually graduate and just be able to really look back and acknowledge all the hard work and so much more. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Aronova. There's lots of questions going in the Q&A at the same time. If you don't see your question answered, it's because I've thought that it would be better to speak about it with the professionals on the screen rather than in a actually, I can just hit the button that says answer live. I'm going to hit it later. Let's go straight now to Ms. Zweig to also provide some perspective on what it's like to study in this field.
Hi, so my name is Ellen Zweig, and I am also a student at the Toro Imaging Program. I'm actually re-entering the workforce. And so when I was considering my different options, I was drawn to imaging because you have a chance to work in a hospital situation and help people. And it's also active. I really knew I didn't want to be at a desk job, and I wanted to be doing something where I was constantly kind of moving around and working with people, not just sitting and answering phones. I'd been at a desk job previously, so I didn't kind of want to go right back to that. So then I also looked into the coursework before committing to the program, and I thought it also seemed very interesting. You study anatomy, you study physics, positioning, radiation protection, and how to protect yourself from radiation, as well as the amount of radiation in the environment that you are exposed to, how that compares to an X-ray image. And so you're just really learning a lot about the world around you. And I thought that that was really fascinating, in addition to being able to help people. So it's very rewarding, and you have this kind of intersection between being able to help people and also applying a science. And last, the fact that the program is only 2 years was appealing to me because it meant I could go in, start studying, work really hard, and then graduate and get out into the workforce and start earning a salary as soon as possible. So that was very attractive to me. And then we've just started clinical placements. And I also like the fact that we get to be placed at different sites all around the city. So you kind of get to see and get to know different boroughs, different neighborhoods. And I really like that about the program. So I highly recommend it.
Thank you so much, Ms. Weig. That's very helpful. Do you get the sense of how, mission driven and motivated our students and graduates are? I think one of the best things about this field is that you really get to help people, and every single day you're on the job, you're actually doing something to help people's lives. And maybe I'm having second thoughts about becoming a professor. But let's turn now to Ms. Ilayeva, who will share her experience.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharona. I am one of the students of Taro's medical imaging program. I am currently in my 3rd semester, going into my 4th. And what can I say? The sonography program is definitely a field that much can grow from. We definitely have the support from the staff, from Miss Evans, from the professors. We definitely learn a lot. And what can I say? It's just so much that we can grow from. It is definitely a competitive field, but overall it is worth it at the end. And I highly do recommend it to all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I hope you'll all stay on for a little while longer, because we're going to have I have at least 4 questions that really need some perspective beyond what I can provide in my capacity. So our last formal speaker is Mr. Michael Kastner, who is taking charge of receiving all of your applications and shepherding you through the process. So I'd like to ask him to speak a few minutes about what you need to do if you'd like to pursue this endeavor.
Yeah, hi. So I'm here to guide you through the application process and to answer any questions you have about the program and about the field. Feel free to email me at any time. You should all have received an email that describes the program, and at the end of that email are instructions for filling out the application. Now, when you're filling out the application, in order to facilitate the process, you should make sure that you submit the names and email addresses of 3 people who can write you a recommendation. Make sure you write and submit your personal statement. And you should also, at this time, get your official transcript from your high school and your college. You do not have to submit that with the application, but we will, because we're late in the game here and we want to move things along quickly, I'm going to ask you for that, and you're going to upload that to me, and so I can upload it for you. After that, there's going to be a box on the bottom that you need to put a little check mark in saying that all the information is correct. You pay an application fee, and then you click the little submit button. After that, you'll hear from me within a day, where I'll tell you that everything is fine, and I'll schedule you for a placement test, or I'll tell you what else you're missing in order to complete the application. So I understand from a lot of the questions that we've gotten that many of you need to know as soon as possible if you're accepted into this program because of deadlines from other institutions. We are committed to going through this process as quickly as possible. But if you do have a specific date that you need to know by, please let me know so we could take that into consideration and make sure that we don't miss the boat because of your other commitments. So I look forward to working with you. And again, feel free to email me at any time. I'm here to help you. Thank you. Best of luck.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kastner. Okay, that takes us to the end of our formal presentations. Perhaps I could ask everyone, you just open up your cameras so that we can have a look at you while we're talking. And I'm going to offer up Ms. Basilian, great, you got the camera on. So I'm going to read some of the questions that I think I'd like to hand out to others. let's start with anonymous attendee, who is one of our most popular attendees. He or she writes, I have an afternoon job. Would I be able to do this program in the mornings and evenings? So Professor Evans, do you think you could address that?
Yes. Unfortunately, the program currently is a full-time program, 8:30 to 4. We hope at some point in the future to develop a program that would meet your needs shortly. But the current offering, as Esther and Sharona will tell you, and Ellen, it's full-time. So it's a commitment of 8:30 to 4:30 daily.
Excellent, thank you. How about Ms. Eisenberger? Could you answer the question, what does a typical day at a clinic look like?
Sure, of course. That depends where you're working. You might be working in an inpatient or an outpatient center. I work in an outpatient center, so we'll see approximately 20 patients a day, and we do all types of ultrasound. So we'll scan pelvis, OB, carotids, vascular, breast imaging, and the like. We get to interact with the patient. We get their pertinent history, we scan them, and then we would submit our either a preliminary impression or just our tech notes on our findings, and then send the patient off and instruct them that they'll hear from their doctor within a couple of days. Obviously, any emergency, we would notify a radiologist, right away, and make sure that that's taken care of. But there's a lot of interaction with the patients, and yeah, that's a basic day. I do want to add one more thing, if you don't mind. I know that they're all in school to do this, so I did want to point out that the market is booming. We have a lot of open ultrasound positions available, and we need you all to go to school, learn well, and we can't wait to welcome you all to the field.
Great, thank you. Ms. Basilian, would you like to add something of your perspective working in the field? The question was, what does a typical day at a clinic look like? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. This is my new laptop, so I'm still figuring out methodology here. So pretty much what was mentioned earlier, it depends if you work in inpatient or outpatient facility. You meet the patient, you greet the patient. Sometimes the patient will come in either with a past medical history, or they were doing some blood testing and the results weren't so great, so they come in anxious. So it's a job of a sonographer to put the patient at ease, to communicate with the patient, explain this, what kind of study is going to be performed, and do your best at the patient care. This is the field of patient care. Basically, you have to be compassionate and kind, and it's a great field.
Great, thank you so much. Professor Evans, for you, Ms. Talia Lando asks, can this degree be used internationally, or is it just accepted within the US?
Actually, it can be used internationally. In fact, a student asked me, could I move to Israel, for example, and use absolutely there. It's a once you've passed your SPI, your ARDMS, and you're certified, you can move internationally. Different countries have different regulations. For example, in Israel, there is, not a regulatory process necessarily, but as long as you're certified here, that would transfer, and that goes across most. You could also, as I said, become a travel technologist, which is growing in need at the moment. As Bonnie said, there's such a huge demand for sonographers across the country and across the world. As soon as our students graduate, they're walking into a job right away. So you're in a high shortage area, but a high need area as well. So that's very important. So I know, for example, Ellen is a senior. She does radiography so much more than sonography, but pretty much our last class of graduates all walked into a job right away.
Wow, that's excellent. Actually, why don't I ask you another question while we're at the same time? Anonymous attendee asks again, very, very prolific questioner. After graduation, do you still need to take certification test ARDMS?
Yes, while you are in the program, as Esther referred to and Sharona, they're studying now while they're in school for their SPI, which is their physics exam. There are two routes to certification. You could take your ART examination, which is fully complete, or you could take sessions on your ARDMS for abdomen, vascular, and so on. But while you're in the program, usually you will take your physics, which is the first part of your certification. And I wish Esther and Sharona the best of luck as they're studying hard for that first phase. So I know they're going to do well and make us all proud. So congratulations to you both.
Thank you. Okay, Director Braun, perhaps you could address this question. Can the program accommodate mothers as well? Can some of the classes be taken remotely? Thank you. And by the way, that is a question from anonymous attendee again.
Wow. Yes, we plan on offering some of the didactics online on Zoom, but anything that involves a laboratory or any kind of clinical will be on campus only. And we look forward to seeing the students on campus. This is the whole idea, you know, seeing you in your white coats, traipsing through the building. That's what we are looking forward to, being there, being your partner. And again, there will be some classes, specific classes that we can offer on Zoom. Will not be a problem, but not all of them.
Yeah, maybe I could add a little bit of a more, you know, working with Director Braun is wonderful because she's a yes person, things happen. But I also want to add a little bit of a no note there because especially as we're just getting started, this is really, you know, it's a rigorous program. You come in the morning, you put on that white coat and you are ready to go. We will be using as much remote technology as we can, particularly because of the nature of Jewish holidays and things like that. But I would not count, especially in the early year or two, on being able to build a schedule that doesn't reflect that pretty serious 8 to 4 kind of classroom, particularly for the first year. Professor Evans, would you agree with that assessment?
I would agree with that. In fact, I was so proud to see Ellen in her jacket. She didn't take it off, but now it's in conforming after hours, it's okay. She took off her white coat. So Ellen, thanks for always adhering to the, you have it there. Okay, so that's her white coat there. So we would look forward to welcoming everybody at your white coat ceremony as you begin, okay?
Excellent. Okay, let me answer. There's quite a few questions here that are all revolving around the same topic, which is some of which are written by anonymous attendee, of course. When do you start? This is actually a hard question to answer. We have been, you know, this is a very specialized program that required a tremendous amount of scrutiny from the New York Department of Education before we were allowed to start running it. The Manhattan branch already offers some medical health degrees, and so it was a little bit easier for them, but in Machon LaParnassa, this is our first real foray into a field like this. So it took us in total, I think, 3 years to reach this point. Yeah, 3 years of pretty, you know, microscopic examination by the state to make sure that we were duly empowered to offer these classes. Unfortunately, what that meant is we only got the word from the state that, yes, we could do this about 2 months ago. And we hit the ground running, but we're not allowed to advertise the program until we're duly authorized to run it. So what that means is we're up against the fall start date. We want to start this right with a cohort. So the answer to the question, when does this program begin? It really depends on you. If we have a reasonable cohort of students apply in time, we may begin this program as early as the regular anticipated fall date, which would be in a very short period of time, or possibly we're looking at the idea of starting it with a different calendar right after the Jewish high holidays, after Sukkot. That's quite a reasonable possibility. If we don't have a sufficient number of qualified candidates by that date, we may have to postpone till January. But that's right now, the ball is really in your court. If you're serious about this program, if you'd really like to join us and start this, then help us out by putting in an application. Otherwise, we will be very happy to start the program, but perhaps not in September or October. It would be in January. Professor Braun, do you want to add a little more up note to my no notes there?
Well, again, you know, we're really counting on our students or prospective students to apply to make this program a reality, because we're very, very excited about it. As you've heard from colleagues, students, and professionals, it is a very lucrative, is a phenomenal career for somebody just coming out off of an associate program. And again, like Dean Abramson says, the ball is in your hands. We very much want to start this, hopefully right after Yontif, right after the Sukkot holidays. Again, we have to have a certain cohort, and we're hoping we can pull it together. We're counting on you.
That's great. Excellent. And while I have you on the line, Director Braun, perhaps I could ask you, can I also, again, I'm an anonymous attendee, very, very prolific. Can I do this program even if I don't have my high school diploma?
No, you need a high school transcript to get accepted into a college program of any kind. So you have to have it.
But there are equivalencies as well, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a GED if you have, or a high school equivalency. You can, if you want, join the Machon Leparnasa group, and we can get you through, in 2 semesters, we can get you to earn a high school diploma through us. And those credits will go towards your college degree. Some of those courses will even be applied towards your sonography program. Excellent.
Thank you so much. Okay, here's a tough one, and I'll leave this open. We have a few people who could answer it. Some sonographers have told me, you guessed who's writing this, right? It's anonymous attendee again. Some sonographers have told me I need a bachelor's degree first in order to get a better paying job. Do you agree?
No.
Stephanie.
No, in the field, a sonographer that graduates with an associate's is able to work with no hesitation. I mean, their sonography programs, just like their other medical imaging programs, their associate level programs and their bachelor's level programs. Bachelor's level programs go through 4 years. The associate level programs are 2 years. They're recognized both equally by the accreditors in the same way in terms of certification. The same thing applies for any of our other medical imaging programs.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Weig, here's one for you. Is there a lot of homework in this program?
I'm not gonna lie, I think there is a lot of homework. They challenge you and they are stretching you, and they want to produce professionals that are knowledgeable and that are among the best in the field.
That's a great answer. That makes me happy because, you know, I send my daughters to sonographers to check out my grandchildren in utero. I don't want you making any mistakes. I want you to be totally ready to produce, you know, the results that my kids need to take care of themselves and all kinds of other things. So yeah, we're proud to say this is a tough program. It's a rigorous program. It's a demanding program, and we produce results. We will hold your hands through all of this. We'll do everything we can to make sure you succeed, but this will require a couple of years of hard work, and then the reward is at the end. Did you want to add anything, Ms. Weig?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I don't think you want an easy program. You want to be good at your job.
Nice, I like that. Okay, Mr. Kastner, how many students do you accept per year?
Well, right now we're looking to accept up to about 30 for this opening cohort.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Aronova, is the program 8:30 to 4:30 every day? I added the tone there to make it a little more dramatic.
So usually we do have a full day, Monday through Thursday, and then there is Fridays where Shabbos is taken into consideration. So depending on when the sun sets, we get, like in the winter, we're let out earlier, and then whenever the sun sets later, you know, they keep us till 2 to 3, depending on what we need to cover and what there needs to be done. But yeah, it is a full-time program, and we are in from 8:30 till 4:30, Monday through Thursday.
I will add, I can see Ms. Braun is also leaning forward here. That's Ms. Aronova is in the NICECAS division, which runs things a little bit differently. It's definitely the same curriculum, same rigor and things like that. The Machon La Parnassa campus will, since we run separate divisions for men and women, we tend to draw from the Orthodox Jewish population. And so the demand for more time to get ready for Shabbat is going to be significant. And we're hoping to adapt our schedule slightly to allow people more time to get ready. We're still working on the finer details of the schedule, but the bottom line, as Ms. Aronova says, is, yeah, it's a tough program. You come in, you put on that white coat. I really like thinking about the white coat, and you get to work and you leave exhausted, come back the next day. Okay, Ms. Tyberg asks, Mr. Kastner, this is for you. Do I have to have an undergraduate degree before I enter this program?
Absolutely not. The basic requirement is that you are a high school graduate. You do not have to have attended one day of college.
Excellent, very good.
Can I just add one thing to that? In my program, we are all together, the certificate students and the associate students, and we're all taking the same classes.
Explain to us who the certificate students are.
They're the people who have the bachelor's degrees.
So they're coming back for additional certification. Why would anyone want to come back to school for additional certification? Professor Evans?
So let me clarify, and Ellen, in your program, there is 2 tracks. In sonography, there's actually only one main track, which is the associate degree.
Okay.
So in the other programs we have where you have a degree and you can come back to learn your skills. And as Esther and Sharona will tell you, they pretty much, everybody is together, whether they have a degree or not, and whether they're getting skills training. So that's very important distinction. At some point, we may think about that later, but not at this moment in this current cohort. So you may have a degree and apply, or you may have no degree and still apply to the program, and we'll train you in the appropriate skills that are necessary to be one of the best sonographers. We only want the best sonographers to graduate from our program.
Excellent.
So Ellen, that's great and wonderful, and you're previewing things to come. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
I have on a phone-in call Ms. Tamara Itzkowitz, who has a question, and because she doesn't have access to a keyboard, I'm going to allow her to talk. So Ms. Itzkowitz, I'm going to click this button here. Please ask your question. I hope you can hear me, Ms. Itzkowitz.
Just unmute.
Hang on, you're on mute. So let me see. Yeah, so I asked you to unmute now. And you should have the power to unmute.
Hi.
There we go, Ms. Itzkowitz. Please ask your question.
1 second. I wanted to know when would be the next time you would start the program again in Flatbush? Like, let's say I don't do it this fall, like when would be the next time?
Okay. Should I answer that?
Yes, so that would be next fall, because we take in one cohort. We are looking at some other options, but at the moment, currently, we have one cohort per time, per period. So we'd start September. If we do start in January, it would be next January. But we do hope in the next year or so to project that we could have a second start time as well.
Okay, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Let me explain as well. This is a cohort program, which means that, you know, you are going to be assigned to a group of students, and you will follow them throughout the entire program. You'll see people who you'll get to know. They will be your colleagues. You'll probably have professional connections with them afterwards, alumni connections. It's not like an undergraduate school where, you know, you may have some classes with some people and other classes with other people. It's really going to be, you know, like an army unit, so to speak, moving through basic training and then out into the trenches and things like that, which I think, you know, really is appealing. Anonymous attendee is really fascinated and wants to know, are there any breaks? Maybe we should ask Ms. Ilyayeva, are there any breaks in this program?
It's beautiful change.
You do get breaks. You get one winter break, and you do get a Passover break.
Excellent, thank you. And what about during the day? Is it 8:30 to 4:30 on all the time?
Clinical hours are from 8:30 to 4, yes, but every day we do have a different schedule. But most of the time, usually we do have classes from 9 to 4. That's how our summer schedule is, and it's been like that.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
And we do, I would say we do break for lunch 12 to 1. We don't want anyone to believe that we were not thinking about you having a healthy lunch as well. So 9 to 12 most classes, and then 1 to 4 as well, Monday through Thursday.
Excellent. Miriam Wiesel asks if there will be at least one day of remote classes and no clinical for students commuting to the school from far away. I really have to let you know that, this is a medical program where we require you to get the optimal training, and you really have to prioritize coming in for physical classes, at least that first full year. Is that correct, Professor Evan? The first full year?
Yes.
Till the
yes.
clinicals start kicking in. So yeah, you just have to prioritize your life this way if that's what you want.
And I'm sure the Bonnie and Rachel can tell you what it was like when they were going to school. It's a really strict rigor. You want to mention that, Bonnie, a little bit?
Sure. Yes, it was straight schooling for 2 years. I had to go Monday through Friday, and we learned a lot. I mean, the structure of the program is to teach you about every organ system in the body. And as the first presenter mentioned, and Stephanie said, we are the hands, we are the eyes, and you got to know all of your stuff. You have to know pathology from head to toe, literally. And there's a big responsibility. So it's a great responsibility, and you'll find it rewarding every day. But you want to know that you're qualified to do what you do and do it well.
Wow, inspirational. Anonymous attendee again asks, are there Sunday classes? And we're toying with the schedule a little bit right now, perhaps to ease the Fridays during the winter months. But right now, the Manhattan model is the Monday through Thursday for long days and a Friday short day. We'll see if we adjust that. We're not exactly positive how we're going to do that yet. Here's a Mr. Kastner question. What is the cost? And is there financial aid and scholarship opportunities?
Sure. The tuition is $8,400 per semester for each of the 5 semesters. We do have financial aid, and I'm sorry?
Sorry.
Okay, so it's and we do have a financial aid department that we will work with you. I suggest once you apply, you fill out your FAFSA form, and that will help facilitate that whole process. We also have we can set up a payment plan for you for each semester. So we will definitely work with you in terms of the finances.
Excellent, thank you. Ms. Newman wants to know if she can start in Manhattan. Shall I answer that?
Sure.
I guess so, okay. Yeah, we would love you to start in Manhattan. That's fantastic. It would be better if you started in Brooklyn, because then you get to work with these fantastic people. Well, actually, you work with them also in Manhattan. So Manhattan's good too. The main difference between the Manhattan program and the Machon program in Brooklyn is that we offer separate gender classes. That's really what we're all about at Machon. And as a result, the population tends to be Orthodox Jewish, although we do get occasionally, like for example, in our speech therapy programs at Lander College of Arts and Sciences, very popular with non-Jews because there are not a lot of speech programs. So as long as they are women attending women's classes, then they fit in. We anticipate that this program is going to be very well populated, but it will probably be from people living in the Brooklyn, Muncie, Lakewood area who will be attending. So you can start in Manhattan, but because it's a cohort program, you will be in the Manhattan cycle of classes. They may not be exactly the same as the cycle of classes we offer here. The full curriculum is identical, but the specifics may vary slightly depending on what we need to do for our Orthodox population in particular. Did I omit anything?
Calendar.
The calendar. Their calendar is going to be roughly similar to ours, but ours would be a little bit more Orthodox friendly, I think.
Mhm.
just small details. No one's going to ask you to take classes on Shabbos, God forbid. But, the amount of time after Sukkot ends or before Pesach, that might change a little bit depending on our population. Anonymous attendee asks, and also Miriam Wiesel, can I transfer existing credits into this program? So this is most of the program is really highly specific sonography imaging techniques, and most of those classes are only offered to sonographers. It is highly unlikely you took any of these classes in high school or any other college or a place like Ma'alot. So we do have a few classes that are required in English composition, in basic math and things like that, that really give you the kind of skills you need to communicate with your patients on a basic level. But the vast majority of the program, the credits, we don't see credits from other institutions, so we don't really think about transferring them. But nevertheless, if you have high scores in English composition and college credits, things like that, you may be able to remove a few of the classes from your agenda. That would not be the highest priority though. Let's see, what have we got here? We did tuition, Manhattan location. The Manhattan location, as I mentioned, does not have separate programs for men and for women. Only the Machon program will. There's a question, the specifics about high school diplomas. If you have a specific question that applies to you and your specific issues, please write to Mr. Kastner directly and he'll help you with that. Oh, here's a tough one. What semester will clinicals begin? How many days / hours a week and what locations? Professor Evans, I think that's you.
Okay, so clinicals in the first year begin in the second semester. And in the second semester, it's 2 days a week. That's approximately 14 hours a week. We do random assignments of clinical sites. We have several hospitals that we assign students to for our medical imaging, and they range from medical imaging centers to large hospitals to what we'd call urgent care centers in some cases. RadNet, we assign to a lot of the sites, Zwanga Passeri and RadNet, and those range from Park Avenue to Columbus to Queens to all over the city as well. So what we try to do is when we are assigning you for clinical is to try to give you as much of a variety of experiences from a large hospital to an imaging center to a smaller center. So you have the wide variety and experience of cases that you could, so that when you graduate, you have an experience in working in all of the possible things that you could see. So Bonnie will tell you at RadNet, they give you a phenomenal experience one-on-one working with the technologist. I know the VP of their operations are committed to make sure that our students do well. And you'll be working with folks like Bonnie and Rachel who are committed to education and teaching and passing that information onwards as well. You could work in a large hospital like Kings County or Kingsbrook Bruce or others, or some are further up like up in Westchester and so on. And we have centers all over, St. Francis Hospital and other places like that as well. And we're adding constantly all the time.
Excellent. Thank you, Professor Evans. Mr. Kastner, how much does the application cost?
It's a $60 application fee.
Excellent. So now we are at the last written question, and I'll reserve it for myself. You know who wrote this question. At what point will we know whether the program is starting in the fall or winter? We will need to make alternative plans. Well, that's really the main question that we have for you. We will be making our decision as to the start date probably within the next 10 days. And it'll depend on how many applications and how many qualified applications we receive. I can't commit to any date until we get those applications in. I think it is really well within the possibility that we will begin in October, but impossible to commit. So it's really up to you. You have to decide whether you want to try out this program or not. I can tell you that if we decide to begin in January and your application for admission is accepted, then you will certainly be offered an admission letter for January, which would mean that you would have a few months to sit around thinking about what wonderful things your life will be like once you are a sonographer. And then you can start in January. But we're definitely hoping. We've been working on this for over 3 years. We are so ready to get started. It all really depends on you. And with that, I think I'm going to take the rest of the questions offline because we're right at the hour mark. I want to thank all the panelists for their wonderful presentations. Their perspectives were truly inspirational. I gained a lot out of this. I want to thank all the attendees for hanging in to this presentation. If you have any questions about the program, the best person to reach out to is Michael Kastner. His email is michael.kastner@touro.edu. It's the email you received for this Zoom information, for the Zoom link. And with that, I want to thank you all, and I wish you a great night. And we hope to see you in a white coat on our campus.